Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Regular Revenge. Story 1. Fuck shitty leaders in corporate America. I was with a well-known industrial supply wholesale company in the greater Chicago area. That right there probably gives them away, but to make it easy, let's call them the XYZ company. I spent a good 15 years there from 2000 to 2015 and left XYZ under good terms. After working in marketing for a few companies after 2015, I started to get the itch to return to my former company. Something that works a little better for my young family. Get out of marketing along with the crazy hours/deadlines and extensive travel. I applied for an admin role in the inside sales department with XYZ. Something I had never done before, but was eager to out of marketing and get back to XYZ by any means necessary. Fast forward to the beginning of my time there. I supported 4 leaders as an admin. I got along great with 2 of the leaders, the other 2 not so much. One of them had been there for years, was known for being tough to work with, and also doesn't keep admins for very long. I could list 25 things that she mismanaged with me, but long story short, she threw me under the bus many times with my boss, repeatedly for about 6 months. I had to begin to protect myself by screenshotting everything I did for her. I could send it to her each time she called me out for doing something wrong. Didn't submit her expense report on time? Nope, got a screenshot showing that I did. Messed up her calendar by not assigning conference rooms? Nope, she rescheduled those herself and didn't put a room for the new time, and I had a screenshot to prove it. You get the idea. Regardless, my boss still saw this as a reason to discipline me. He blamed me for the mismanagement. He decided to put me on a PIP. There were no KPIs for this PIP, mind you, because there are no metrics for my role. It was going to be completely subjective to their opinions of me. I said that was a fucking joke and that I wasn't going to do it. I gave them a resignation letter instead. The BS wasn't worth it, so I put in 2 weeks. Fast forward a few months. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm disappointed with what happened but happy to be away from XYZ. I thought about what I could do to get back at this leader and decided to get even. I knew a former co-worker who had been promoted several times and was a senior leader in HR at XYZ. I reached out to her, got the ball rolling with a complaint. This leader in inside sales had been getting away with abusing employees and throwing co-workers under the bus for years. The HR person in charge of inside sales knew what was going on but never did anything. I told my old friend to give my co-workers a voice, and look at the complaints that were already filed. There was more than enough evidence there from past complaints to either discipline her or even get her fired. Fast forward a few weeks, this leader was fucking fired. It was me reaching out to XYZ HR and giving senior leadership their insight to what was going on. They watched her for about a week and interviewed team members who had complained, and there was enough to get rid of her. This leader needed to learn that actions have consequences. You can't abuse people at work for years and get away with it. I've got a sour taste in my mouth for XYZ now, and it's all because of her. She had to pay the piper for this. She did, and now her ass is on the unemployment line with the rest of the people she fired or forced out of the company. I did this and it feels great. Story 2. Want to be a jerk? Fine, I'll cancel your bridal shower. The wedding from hell and lazy groomzilla rears his ugly head. This is a currently ongoing situation, but I have recused myself from the entire fiasco. Background: Karen and Ken live together. Karen has been married previously and divorced. Both have children with other people that are either grown or teens. Ken was previously engaged to someone else. Neither Karen or Ken work. Karen has not worked one day in her entire life. They live off the system. Neither of them drive or can afford a bus pass. Very entitled and lazy AF. Bride now has major health issues, but that hasn't always been the case. There is no family on either side willing or offering to help with anything in regards to the wedding. Karen and Ken also live in another county, which means it's quite a drive from where the rest of us being me and people I know, live. They refuse to move out of where they currently live. Ken proposed to Karen during the holiday season in 2022. She said yes. She was excited and I was happy that she was happy. After the holidays, early February 2023, she wanted to start planning the wedding. Karen started asking me loads of questions and I try my best to answer them as best I can. Then there are more and more questions to the point that I essentially am planning the wedding myself. I even got the minister and the church for free because they couldn't afford to pay. I told my friend to go to Dollar Tree for silk flowers or Walmart for a cheap bouquet as florists are expensive. Even looked up a shirt and shoes for him and helped her pick a dress. Right after I started helping Karen, I let her know that I would be starting school in a couple months at the college level. She knew from the beginning that I would be in classes and with that comes assignments. Due dates are to be expected at the college level. Most people would know this so I thought. My due dates are on Wednesday and Saturday. In a good faith effort to be nice to the couple, I planned a small bridal shower. She has no friends or family to invite, so I invited mine to bring them gifts and give her some love. Had everything planned and about 15 people invited to the bridal shower that were my friends. She knew only a couple people but they were acquaintances. Even planned to have my homework ready to submit a day early so that I could have the shower for her. Then the bride decided she had to have a wedding cake and a reception for the wedding, none of which they can afford with him getting food stamps, and she can't eat anyway. She had asked me to be the matron of honor and I agreed to do it. I have a nice, brand new church dress I can wear. I reiterated I'm in school and I'm available in the morning. We had the date and time set for the wedding ceremony. That is until a week later when the pastor Chad and Ken got together and decided that drinking coffee is more important. Plus God forbid people need to have the food ready and the church decorated by late morning, 10:30. I told her I couldn't be there at the new time. Karen starts bawling. Then Groomzilla Ken gets on her Facebook Messenger and starts in about it being their day and how Karen knew no one would help her. After he started calling names I just quit responding, but I told him the shower was cancelled and I was pulling the registry down. Pastor's wife Kathy decided she would give the shower, same date, same time. Only now she has to spend an additional 3 hours driving back and forth that day to pick up and drop off the bride. Did I mention I was the one who created the registry and I deleted it? Story 3. The Legend of Psycho Santa. This is a story of revenge that went too far. Back in 2002, I was working as evening manager of a cigar shop in a shopping center. We had a lounge with overstuffed chairs for customers to hang out and enjoy a cigar or a pipe. There was a group of regulars that used the lounge, some once or twice a week, some every evening. There was a guy we'll call Todd who came in periodically. He wasn't quite a regular, but the guys all treated him like part of the crew. He was, not quite right. He was in his early 30s, lived with his parents, and drifted from one part-time job to the next. He was on par with Forrest Gump in terms of intelligence, and we suspected he had some mental health diagnoses. When the Christmas season started, he got a gig standing outside of Home Depot dressed as Santa. I think he was collecting donations. A couple of teenagers drove by, and the kid in the passenger seat leaned out and whipped a handful of pennies at him. They drove away laughing. It turned out we were right about Todd's mental health. Remember, Todd was dressed as Santa when this happened. There were families in those cars waiting in line, with children. I didn't witness it, but I talked to people who did. The general consensus was that it was funny for the first few moments, but quickly turned horrifying and went rapidly downhill from there. Todd took off after them on foot. It was a busy day for the shopping center, and there was a long line of cars waiting to get out, so he easily caught up with them. He took them completely by surprise, and started by yanking open the driver's door and dragging him out of the truck. The passenger tried to come to his friend's aid, but Todd had knocked the driver out by the time he came around the back. Todd grabbed the other kid, kicked him in the groin 3 or 4 times, then dragged him over and started slamming the driver's side door on his head again and again. Once they were both laying on the ground, he just kept kicking them until finally a couple of guys took him down and managed to keep him pinned. Police showed up pretty quickly with an ambulance not far behind. The kids were taken to the emergency room. Both were in bad shape, with broken ribs, damaged teeth, and concussions. One of the Good Samaritans got a nasty bite wound and also got taken to the ER. Todd was held in the county lockup pending trial. I guess his parents either didn't have the money to bail him out or were scared shitless to have him come home. Todd's case was handled by a special mental health court. They took into account the fact that he was provoked, and he, somehow, had a clean record. He only got a few more months in jail, then got transferred to a long-term inpatient psychiatric treatment facility. He was also permanently banned from the shopping center. Story 4. My 5th grade teacher abused me. For some context, I was SA by my male babysitter from 8 to 15 years old. This brought on a lot of mental problems such as depression, PTSD. Not to mention I was getting bullied, insulted by my peers. Getting hit with the belt from my mom's boyfriends for stupid stuff like a bowl still in the sink or hitting me because I didn't understand a homework assignment. I had a horrible childhood that still affects me to this day. My 5th grade teacher, we will call her Karen because back then she had a haircut like a Karen. I had trouble with school due to the essay and I had AD but we didn't test for that back then, it was just always me being lazy. Like every kid, we sometimes don't do homework, lie, etc., it's what kids do. I admit I wasn't the best student but I wasn't a bully or mean or yelled or talked back to my teachers. I was just struggling because of the mental abuse I was taking and was too afraid to tell someone. Karen had a tendency to yell at anyone who didn't do an assignment right or whatever. She was particularly vocal with me. One instance, there was a class assignment where we had to look up words in the dictionary and copy them down, with dashes and such. I was finished and everyone in class was talking, not just me. All of a sudden, she snapped at me asking to see my work and then said one answer was wrong thinking I just added spaces wherever and had me to go to principal's office. We had a reading assignment every night and had to answer questions for them. I sometimes couldn't find the answer so I left it blank or just put one that made sense. As we go through them in class, she would ask students to read out the answer. If I gave a wrong answer or didn't have one, she would yell and tell me to come up and see my work and basically bash me for not seeing the answer or just being lazy. Another instance, she called me a girl in front of everyone. She abused me mentally and emotionally. Those are really the only things I can remember and between everything, one day I just had enough. When we had the dictionary assignment again, she snapped at me. I remember yelling back and showing her what happened. Some words underneath each other in the dictionary had the same letters like a bub in the beginning or the end of the word. Sometimes I accidentally used the dashes in the second word and not the first, just a misguidance. So I said something like no, and I showed her what happened and told her it was a mistake and I'm not just making up the dashes. When we would review the reading assignment and it was my turn to answer, I remember saying I don't want to give an answer because if it's wrong, all you're gonna do is yell at me and send me to the principal's office. I packed my book bag saying I'm getting ready to go to the principal because that's what you're gonna do so I'm just getting ready. I think I yelled at her another time for something else. Then it came the day when she, my mom, the principal and I had a meeting. This is where my revenge comes into play. She said I yelled at her and whatnot. This is all paraphrasing but I told them yes I yelled at her. She is a bully, she is mean, she insults me, she doesn't help me, and all she does is yell. I already get enough bullying and I don't need it from my teacher. I am not her child. I dread going to school because of her. I don't like her and I do not want to be in her class anymore. I basically told them everything she has done to me. She didn't mess with me again. I went to a different school the next year but it was one of those few times I stood up for myself and got revenge on someone who was mean to me. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.